Welcome to the Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson podcast, the podcast where we head down the road of the supernatural and beyond. So sit back and hold on as we take a ride together to what lies in the unknown and beyond the veil. This two-part episode features Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, an internationally renowned naturopathic doctor, energy healer, remote viewer, paranormal expert, and consciousness teacher. And now your host, Daniel Jackson.
What do I do with the ones that are furious?
Yeah, like the ones who say they want your help, but then they don't really want your help. They want to fight against you. What do you
We usually part with this immediately. I have kicked people out of my
good for you.
my program.
Yeah, here, yeah.
Well, not to be nasty or mean, but
Yeah.
you can tell someone who's sincere and telling the truth and wants help. And I give them a chance. I give them a chance to learn some truth that they may not have known, to be introduced to some material they may not have known. Give them a chance.
Right, you got to give them a chance.
If they persist, in causing disruption and chaos and questioning everything, it's not that I'm never wrong, because I will tell you what I found. The technology I use and my own abilities are never wrong. However, and I've gotten better as I've aged and done more and more and more readings. Occasionally my interpretation and my filtering of the information is applied wrongly. Does that make sense to you as a reader?
Because it's because we apply it in a human way.
That's what I'm trying to say. So can I be wrong? The information I received coming in is never wrong that I get.
Right. It just depends on how we decipher it.
Yeah, 2 + 3 = 7, and it doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But not very often.
But it actually could because we created our own math and own.
I was just going to say math is BS too. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. and words are like I tell people, you can call me an asshole all day long, but because words are just words that are created by men. So if that person who's called me an asshole doesn't hold any merit with me, I don't care what you freaking call me.
Like if you're affectionately calling you an asshole, it's different.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. You could call me you could call me an asshole. I'd be okay with it. But because we're both it's just part of your personality, whatever. But
True.
What? So I know, right? Paranormal topics. So abduction experiences. What do you got?
I have 2 major abduction experiences that I have memory of. And then I actually had a couple abduction experiences 3 months ago that it took me a while to realize they were abduction experiences, because the way abduction experience works is usually technology is involved. They freeze time.
Right.
Are we out of time, by the way?
Oh, no, I'm just looking around, buddy. I see stuff all day long.
I do. I've been watching you.
All right.
I know, really.
Some stuff, I see so much stuff, I don't pay attention to it. But I let people know, or try to let them know, if you ever see my camera go blurry, that's because somebody just crossed over. I see.
Interesting.
I can see them crossing over all the time.
That's interesting.
I see clouds going through my face all the time.
I see what you're saying.
If I pay attention to it, or like if I look at your wall, what color is your wall to me or to you?
It's like a brown tan.
Yeah, to you. To me, your wall is that color and blue. So when I see that, I see energy in my regular vision. Everything I look at has that blue mist in it. But if I concentrate like I did earlier, and like I still seeing that lady with the red hair behind you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, but so what kind of experiences did you have? What were these abductions? I want to hear about.
Most recently, it was as simple as I'm driving in the car and there's flashing lights, but there's nothing around me. I live, I'm driving in the country on a dark road, and then there's flashing lights, and then I'm gone, and then I'm back type thing. And I will see the dogs that were with me started barking, which is interesting because I have dogs that can see like you and me can.
Because animals see what we see.
Yeah. So I've had so that kind of abduction, but I've also had totally crazy, and I've told a couple of these stories many times. I'll tell a short one. This happened a couple of years ago. A friend and I were going to a paranormal location, a haunted law school that's just really
dense.
I can't even, I have no words for it. Just a really heavy place.
It's like walking into a smoky bar, and then you walk out and you still feel it all over you.
Yeah. And so as we're driving up to it, I started having second thoughts. I felt like if we went all the way to the law school to take pictures, investigate paranormally, it was just her and I just thought that was like a big no. Like I was getting like everything. I was feeling sick to my stomach. I was getting like, it was just a big no. Like, do not go. And it's night, do not go to law school.
Your soul was telling you this was a bad idea.
That's right. So we stopped and turned around and we started back. Now, the woman that I was going with had grown up around this area. She grew up here for 40 years. She lived here. She knew every bush, every tree, every turn, every sign, every house, So as we came out of the road to the law school and turned onto a road, all of a sudden everything cleared and it was just a road with pine trees. This is what she and I saw. And this is important to just say, no mailboxes, no houses, no turns, just an endless dark pine tree, North Carolina road. So she starts freaking out. We pull over. I do some mumbo jumbo stuff that I do to clear the energy and, say maybe there's some spirits that hopped and energies cleared the car. And we drove for a while longer. And finally we came to a road she recognized and went on our way. Well, I was shaking. My whole body was almost violently shaking, like something traumatic had just happened, even though it's not that traumatic really to drive on an endless road. And I have this app, it's called Life 360. My kids track me. You think I would track my kids? I don't. My adult children track me. And so I have this app and something told me, look at this app. So I pull this and I have the screenshots of this. So I pull up the app and it showed where our car had been for the last half hour. And what it showed was driving through in a square or circle, through cornfields, through houses, through barns, through no roads.
But you saw the road.
I saw the road, but what we figure is it was an abduction and it was mapping
everywhere you were actually going.
We were above. We were in a ship or something above.
Right.
So I found that fascinating just because the technology that we have, and this is how I teach people about to see. Well, first we have to bring it into their awareness. I bring it into their awareness by saying, here's your best, forget your third eye, forget your psychic abilities, forget it. Here's your best tool to discover the paranormal.
Yeah.
It takes pictures that some people can't see. You and I can see them. So that's one of my I love that because I love, as much as I'm a faith-based person, as far as I don't feel I need to convince anybody what I see. It's my experience. I don't care if you believe it or not. I enjoy it. I know it's real. Someday you'll know it's real too. So I don't feel I have to convince anyone. As much as I have that belief, and I try not to push, my crazy life on anyone. And I'm sure you don't either. I also love that we have the technology to prove that I'm not crazy. That makes sense.
Right. Right. Yeah, I had a similar, the technology part of it. So in the very beginning, when I didn't realize I was basically an untrained medium, I had so much stuff going on in my house. We had a paranormal group come to my house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they put all the little boxes up that had these lights on it, little wires on it. And I'm asking him, I'm like, what's that? And he said, well, spirit produces static electricity. I was like, oh, okay. And he rubs his hand on my couch and he waves his hand above it. And they go blue, blue, and lit up. And I was like, okay. So they put them up everywhere. And so we went, they said, where do you have a lot of activity? I said, well, in my bedroom, but throughout the house. So I walk through the door. When I do, every one of those things goes blue.
Oh, wow.
I turn around and look at them and they're looking at me like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, what the hell's going on? They walk through the door, nothing. Okay. Every time I walk past them, bloop, they walk through, nothing. They take pictures of me, digital photos of me walking around the house with each member of the team or by myself. When they took a picture of somebody else from the team, nothing. They take a picture of me or me with someone else. There's like 15 or 20 light orbs completely surrounding me.
Oh, wow.
Then they did an experiment with that thing called with the spirit box where they turn it on and it spits out words and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they had me go in the bedroom and lay down and pretend I'm sleeping. And then so I do that and they come in and I hear click and then all of a sudden it goes Helen, Wendy, Michael, Paul. Then it says special, unique, light, energy, One time it says one time it
Wow.
says the word road, like a street, it says road. And when it did that, a car went right past
Oh,
the house.
wow.
So I'm laying there going, man, this is cool. And then they started asking questions.
Uh-huh.
Now here's where it got crazy. So they said that one of the questions they asked, they said, "Are you here to harm Daniel?" And then the voice came through. No, we are not here to harm Daniel. We love Daniel. We love
Wow.
Daniel. We love Daniel's light. Then it said,
Wow.
Daniel is the light. And I was like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? You know? But that went on for 10 minutes. So we go outside. They leave. I get up. I go out there, and they're in a huddle. And I'm talking about. I go to my wife. I said, "What's going on?" And she's like, "I
Yeah.
don't know. They're talking about something." They turn around, and I said, "Did you get all that? That was cool,
Yeah.
right?" I said something about me being a light and stuff like that. What is that? And they were like, "Well, Mr. Jackson, there's an issue with that." And I was like, "What's the
What?
problem?" Yeah, and I said, "What's the problem?" And he said, "Well, we can get it to say a word or two." He said, "But the
Right.
problem is, it never says sentences, and it doesn't say sentences for 10 minutes." And I was like, "Okay, but it wasn't anything bad." They said, "No, but we got to figure that stuff out." So, and then they had, we went down in the basement. We're walking around down there. I'm standing there talking to one of the guys, and I walked away to show him something else. And he says, "Hey, Mr. Jackson, come back here a minute." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Stand right here." I said, "Why right here?" He said, "Because that mirror is right there." And I said, "Yeah, what about it?" He said, "Now stand here and just peer your head around." I said, "Okay." And I stand there, I peer my head around. The mirror is going, it's vibrating.
Oh
And
my God.
he said, "No, walk away." I said, "Okay." I walked away and it stopped. So all this stuff. So I said, they said, "Okay, we'll come back in a couple of weeks and do the big reveal."
Yeah.
2 weeks goes by, 3 weeks goes by, 4 weeks. I finally get a hold of him 6 weeks later. I said, "When are you
Yeah.
coming back to do the big reveal?" He said, "We're not." I said, "Why not?" And yeah, I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because usually it takes, we don't get that information from one house. It usually takes 10 or 15 homes." He says, we don't get it all from one house like that." He said, "I can't get the team together. After we got on your front lawn when we left, the team quit because they're all scared. They don't want to come back to your house."
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
"Well, can you come back to my house?" He said, "No, I don't feel comfortable coming back to your house, Mr. Jackson." I was like, "But you're not helping me." I said, "You're the professionals. You're not doing." Yeah. So yeah, but the best part about it was, yeah, I don't, like, back then I didn't need to know I had spirit in my house. I wanted to know why I had spirit. They
Right.
couldn't tell me that. But because of all that information come through with this technology, my wife and I knew at the same time, we're not crazy.
Oh,
We are
true.
here.
Yeah.
We are seeing this stuff. We are, and other people witnessed it. Now, they don't want to come back to my house, which is okay. But because when they first showed up in their little van and they had the insignia on it, the first thing I could think of, Kimberly, is I don't want to be this kind of famous, because everyone else around my neighborhood is going to think they have the Blair Witch Project going on to the house next to them.
That's true. Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, they still do. So, but they
Maybe
also
they
do. Yeah, they also do here now. They just don't realize it because it's like a frat party in my house all the time. All the spirit around here. But I tell some people, but when I come in contact, when I feel, or I ask spirit, "Is it okay to talk about this?" They say yes. I go, "Okay," and then I talk about it. But yeah, we don't. It's hard to do that. It's, although you'll agree with me, it's becoming more acceptable now than it has ever been, right?
I'm so thankful. All the ghost shows
Yeah.
have, even if they're fake, which a lot of them are, a lot of the ghost shows have done that, and Bigfoot shows, even though the Bigfoot shows are BS and the ghost shows are BS, they've done that for us. And I'm thankful.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Because we can't take up all the space all the time. We need others that help us do that.
And even the idiots help, seriously. Even the guys driving around on quads with shotguns saying, "I'm going to hug Bigfoot." At least they're bringing the possibility that there are creatures to our awareness. Even though I completely disagree with that.
Yeah,
view,
I had a guy on my show who's a Bigfoot researcher, but he doesn't. He's just looking for it and stuff like that.
Okay, good.
My question to those guys is, once you find Bigfoot, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to poke them and prod them or something like that? Because to me, Bigfoot is the OG off-grid guy. He wants to stay off-grid. He doesn't want to be found. He wants to live his life and peacefully, as we all do, and as we should have respect for them, as they have respect for us. So what are you going to do with them once you catch them? You got to experiment on them so you can find out how you can make another freaking shampoo? No. let that shit go and just let him be who he is. He sees airplanes in the sky and just goes, that's another one of those crazy
Right.
birds. It just goes
Right.
on about his way, you know. I mean, we just have to have more respect for everything in this world and stop trying to poke at it all the time, you know. It's just but people do want answers for things, and again, so that's why they come to us, so we
Do
can get.
they know? Do they want answers, or do they want the answers they want? The same thing we asked about healing, I think, applies to ghosts, applies to spirits, applies to cryptozoology, applies to aliens and UFOs and all of it. I think
Right.
everybody wants what's safe and acceptable and fits
Yes.
their point of view and their programming instead of the truth. And I thankfully was never able to really be programmed heavily, and I was a rebel. And so that made me
Broke
open
away.
to the truth.
Yeah, you broke away.
And I'm still open to the truth. I have recanted things over the years and that I no longer believe based on evidence and experience of my own. And I will continue. I have no problem saying, I think I was wrong about this. I think I drew a wrong conclusion. I have no ego invested in this other than exciting exploration and remembering, really, we all know, we all came from the all. We all are related to each other. We're related to these beings. We're related to all of the aliens. We're related to the Sasquatch. We're all from the all. So
I'm
we
related
all
to
know
the tree out back behind my house.
that too, the trees and the dogs and the cats and the plants and the
All is
insects.
one is all.
Absolutely. So we know, we just need to remember. And so we need to go in with a pure mind and a pure heart and be open to the relationship. That's what I teach the most about. Not even experimentation and exploration, but what I love, my kids say to me, how can you live in the middle of the woods in the mountains on a country road by yourself? Aren't you scared? Aren't you lonely? And you'll understand this. I say lonely. You wouldn't believe the beings that I have here that I can relate to, that I have relation. You understand this? I'm not lonely. Sometimes I wish I were more lonely, you know?
If other people would realize that they could do that too.
And they can, right.
Then that conversation would go away. Many conversations would go away, and we would get back to what is more important to talk about.
And these beings have a lot to teach us. Your discarnates have a lot to teach us, and mine, and the beings and the nature spirits and the trees and the crypto creatures. And I have little people. I have, you know, it's so sad to me. This is so sad to me. So people say, give me a picture. Give me a clear picture, Daniel. Give me a clear picture of a little person. Do you know I gave them a clear picture of a little person? Clear as day. And guess what they said? That's a G.I. Joe doll that you put outside your house. If they knew my life, they would know I don't even have the time to go to the store, order on Amazon. I don't even know if they still make G.I. Joe dolls. I don't have time to do fake setups of pictures, Daniel.
Yes, so when I'm able to see in what we call the realm of heaven, some of the beings that I see there look like cartoons.
Yes, I agree.
That's what they look like. That's all. And so when you tell somebody this is what they look like, they go, like you just said, they go, oh, that's a G.I. Joe figure. Well, I'm sorry, but that's what he looks like. What do you want me to tell you?
He's a warrior. He's dressed like G.I. Joe. I can't help it. I didn't dress him.
Right. And because a lot of them, like beyond the ones who are in like just other dimensions, because I see into other dimensions as well. I also do something else you do, but I don't have control over it. Remote viewing.
But, you don't have control?
No, because the reason I don't have, well, I don't work on it because one of the other abilities I have, it just came through as part of that. Part of it. Well, so I have a lot of stuff that I'm able to do, but I don't talk about it to everybody because a lot of people, what they don't understand, they become afraid of. So, when I try to explain these things, I go, oh, well, you must be a witch or something. No.
Oh yeah,
witches were just people who also could speak to spirit, and they also use what we call potions and stuff like that to heal people and stuff like that. They were more or less the unconfirmed doctor, but people who were super religious, you basically, a witch is, you're like being branded with a scarlet letter, same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I say to that? This is my example of that. I said, if you would take a microwave oven, not that I endorse those because I don't, but if you would take a microwave oven back to the Revolutionary War and drop it in the middle of a battlefield,
Right.
that's going to be magic, and they're going to blast it away and destroy it and think it's like something hideous, which it kind of is. But you know what I mean? I'm just saying what we don't know, we're afraid of.
I have it in my hand and I'm afraid of it because it follows
You
me.
should be afraid of it.
Yeah, because it hears everything I talk about. Look, it just
Yeah, I
went
hope
up.
you guys, I forgot to, I don't know if you picked this up. We were talking about something that they did not like, and I don't remember. Oh, it was when we were talking about abduction. They hate when you start talking about ETs and abduction.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
an ear implant. They turned up my ear implant. It was squealing away. They're like, no, distraction, get off this topic. It's funny.
Again, they don't want the truth coming out, and that's a horrible, because the truth would empower everybody, and then we would also know at that point we don't need to rely on them, and they want us to rely on them because they make money off of us, because everyone in this world is a slave to everyone else who is in power.
All consumerism all the time. Absolutely, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Crazy stuff. Let me go through some other stuff here. So as they tell me, as my spirit guides tell me, because I am the light here that shines all the time, I'm one of these people. How many high frequency people do you believe are here?
That's a hard one. I'm going to change the question a little bit and then I'll go back to it.
Because it's your question, you're allowed to change it, lady.
So, my relatives work in cloning and transfer of human consciousness. So we know there's a lot of beings that are literally, I call us wetware, but there's beings that are more combination of plastic and metal than more like robotic and human mix than us. And there's beings that do not have a human spirit, or it may have a walk in, walk out, walk in, walk out spirit. There's a lot going on. And I'm not sure how well, and I imagine you would perceive when you meet a being, what's in them. I'm not sure, but I work a lot instead of out here. I kind of shut a lot of this down because it's very distracting to me, as you know. But I work a lot with what's in, because when I go to work with someone with their beliefs, their programming, their dysfunction, their memories, I need to know I'm talking to them.
Right.
Not talking to the three beings in them and them, because then I get their dysfunction, because it's all frequencies coming at me. So it's hard to separate. Okay, this is Jane and this is Bob, and I'm working with Mary. So Jane and Bob, it's hard to, so anyway, so I usually, get rid of, those beings before I work with. I actually forget the question. What was your original question? I'm like getting off on a bunny trail.
Your question, how many high level frequency souls?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Here?
So we kind of have to sort out the empty that have not third dimension, but more like fourth dimensional beings. That there's just a lot of sorting to do. We just think we look at the human skin and that's it, but obviously
and that's not it.
And then high frequency, I think maybe that I should take that question off. It's kind of a definition, because fourth and fifth density is still has polarity in it. It still has black and white. So what's high frequency? Are we talking the 20th density? Are we talking the 150th density? I know, as I said, maybe I should take it off.
I just put an X on it on my paper.
Thank you. I'll have to remember to take it off. Well, because it's hard. So by whose definition? My definition,
right.
I'd say I've had the pleasure of encountering more than I thought. What I've run into, and I don't know about you, I run into a lot of sincere people that do not have the resources. They don't have a you, they don't have a me, they don't have the resources. They want to know what book they can read. They want to know what video they can watch.
Right.
Daniel, you and I know that's a lot of propaganda as well. Almost all the New Age community, paranormal community, the UFO community, the cryptozoology community, it's all infiltrated with the controllers. It is.
Yeah, whenever I do other interviews for shows, I tell them I will come on your show, and I will release all the crap that they've learned from all these paranormal shows, all the fake stuff that's out there, and I will out these guys to let you know that most of these paranormal people don't know their ass from a hole in the ground and get it wrong. That they go in and go, oh, I see a spirit, and that's the end of it. No, you don't understand why they're there and what they're actually doing there, and what's the reason for them being where they are in that state and stuff like that. You just go in for the mystic. Oh, we took a picture of this. So what?
It's actually
you help
true.
that person.
No, so, I mean, that's a good. So I don't know. I do know there's a lot of what we call NPCs or matrix computer projections. I do know there's a lot of I mean, I can see through most of those, like literally see through them, like they're not even embodied. There's a lot of empty clones. There's a lot of programmed people. There's a lot of interesting flavors of humans walking around. As far as people that care about the things you and I are talking about, honestly, I don't think very many people could honestly hang with this conversation all the way, point by point,
Right. No, there's because there is so much. When I do a reading for someone, I'll go through all this stuff, and I always tell them, make sure you bring something to record or write it down, because there's so much, you're going to have to go back over it. And they always tell me at the end, it's so much, that's so much. And I said, yeah, well, it is a lot. And I got all.
Daniel, they tell me, could you slow down? I'm like, no, you should be thanking me. You're getting triple your money what a normal person would talk at the pace. No, there is technology. You can slow it down. I'm not slowing down. You need all of this information,
Yeah. Back in the day when I was a musician, if you wanted to learn a part, you had to try to slow the record down or something like that, or you could get a machine that would slow it down. But no, when this truthful information is coming out, I have to tell it as it's coming through. Because at the same time I'm telling you something, they're telling me something else at the same time. I can't slow it down.
No, that's how I am. Yeah,
they're not in space and time.
Yeah, and I'm getting like 4 other streams of information.
Yeah, they're not in any space and time. They're not going to slow down. They want to get it out as quick as they can get it out as well.
And sometimes it's their own oversoul. It's sometimes themselves speaking to them, their highest wisdom,
Yes, but that's the problem. Like I always say, you need to listen, but you need to also follow through. But yeah, you got to listen. You got to pay attention, listen, and then follow through. I'll do readings for people. I'm sure you get this, and they come back to me later on and go, oh, Daniel, it didn't work out the way you told me it was going to work out. Stuff like that. And then I listen to it and I go, oh, well, that's because Spirit just told me that you used your free will to change that. You didn't do it exactly the way that they told you to do it. You tried to change it around and manipulate it a little bit so you can make it a little bit better. But it actually fucked up even worse because you tried to manipulate it. And they go look at me and go, yeah, you're right about that. And I go, yeah, well, listen and follow through. You want an answer, I give you the answer. Listen to the answer and do what the answer tells you. Don't try to manipulate it and change it into something better, because then you're screwing it up, But people don't get that. But they have to learn to stop being so untrustworthy. I saw a meme one time, on Facebook, and it's a woman sitting in front of a card reader, and the lady shuffles the cards and she puts the cards out, and the lady across from her goes, I don't like that shit. Shuffle that shit one more time. Just because, you don't like it. Yeah, you don't like it. You don't want it. You don't want to deal with the truth. This is what you're being dealt. Take a listen to it and then learn from it, and then move past it. Learn to do what it's giving you.
Well, and I just want to say very clearly to you and to everyone else: am I perfect? No. Am I still figuring it out? Yes. Am I still have things to work on? Yes. So I'm with you. I'm in this journey here with
Together.
You. Still figuring it out right alongside. It doesn't make Daniel and I better than you.
No.
We're all of the same material. We're all walking a journey. It's just
when people ask me to get some answers from them, they ask me a question, and I always say to them, sometimes I go, you know what? I'll have to ask, because I never thought to ask that question, because I don't always know the right questions to ask. So that's why they need to ask me the question so I can get the answer for them. Sometimes they ask me questions, and as they're asking me the questions, I get an answer and I go, no. And I go, wait a minute. They say, I don't even finish the question. I said, oh, you don't have to. What do you mean?
I say that too. Yeah. I'm like, no, stop. I'll say, stop. You're like, what? I'm just going to answer. We're going to save time.
Yeah. So then we can move on to the next one, so we're not wasting a bunch of time here.
I understand that.
They don't always get that. And then they
what it goes back to? Something that I think we glitched over that I'd like to emphasize. Which is the words.
Hi, I'm Daniel Jackson of Spirit Medium Daniel. Are you unsure of the path your life is taking? Do you need spiritual advice? Come book a reading with me, and I will put your mind at ease and your worries to rest. www.spiritmediumdaniel.com.
When you play in these upper dimensions and with the all and with the spirits, much is not verbal words. Most of my communication throughout the day is like your mind to mind, even with my children, mind with my dogs, mind to mind with the beings. It's mostly, and that's in the upper dimensions, they half merge with each other. And that's how they communicate all the time. They don't waste this energy by having these ad nauseum, even interviews. but just word vomit. They succinctly know. It's
Right.
even more than emerging. It's a
Much
knowing. They
clearer.
don't even speak words in the mind. It's a communion with each other.
Right.
That is beyond words.
Right. I remember the first time I was meditating and I got an actual message. So I heard something it came into my mind. But what happened at that point is I didn't talk to that person. My mind started talking to that person.
Yeah.
And then halfway through it, I did one of these. I went, was I just having a conversation with somebody? And then I could hear the conversation going on, but I was separate from the conversation, even though my mind was talking to things. And then I thought to myself, my mind said this, but that's not the way I would have said it. And I was like, oh, there we go. That's the key. My soul said something else without all the, like you said, the uhs and this and all that stuff. It filters out everything else and brings through the true true meaning of it.
Yeah, the core. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the controllers introduce language in this reality.
Oh boy.
So.
Oh boy. Yeah. Those controllers are calling me asshole all day long. But that's okay, because I don't give a shit about them, because I just don't. Yeah. What do we got here? I'm reading some stuff. So what do you believe the ghosts are? They're able to take over the human body. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So one of the things when we take our readings, I've taken, hundreds of thousands over the years. And for some reason, you may know the answer to this. I don't, or your guides might. I haven't really asked. Maybe I'll
You want to know? I can ask for you.
But we consistently see a portal opening on the left side of the energy field. Consistently. Yeah. Now, occasionally both, and occasionally right, but almost 9 times out of 10, almost everyone has this huge gap. And there's just beings. A lot of them pass through, walk through, and they dip in and get some juice, energy, or whatever they do, or they leave something behind they want to dump. But a lot of them will either hang very close to the energy field near that portal, or they will completely enter the physical body and be inside the physical body, operating and leaving aspects of themselves, much like a heart transplant. I used to work for a heart transplant team, much like the heart transplant. When you get a new heart, you take on that. So that's what happens when these beings get in you. You're you, but you're also take on aspects of them, depending how strong they are, age, yada, motivation, why they're there. We're seeing tremendous, some people would call it possession. I don't know what else to call it, but I'm seeing such serious, even with the high frequency people, even with people like sharp, like you and I, that know about programming, know about frequency, have abilities that are turned on. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's left side. I don't know why we're seeing so many people even I get jumped.
It's the energy itself that they are attracted to, meaning that your soul energy. But the thing with that is, like when I tell people, when you have positive, you have good spirit around you and you have bad spirit around you. Yeah. A bad spirit can try to give you a message in your dream, and then you wake up and say, I think I will go kill somebody today. Or you could be the other side of it and go, you know what? I'm not going to kill anybody. I'm not going to do that. Right. These bad energies can try to influence you to do things, but you have a thinking mind, or you have that free will choice to say, okay, I'm not going to let that be a part of me. Yeah. Or when you have a positive one come in that tries to give you some good advice, again, you can say, I don't want that to be a part of me. Or you could say, you know what, that's for me. And then it becomes a part of you. And then that's what you do. It just depends upon how open you are to this as well. But there are some people who are so open they don't even realize they are.
Oh, they're just wide open. They don't protect or do anything. They just open up and they allow whatever.
They are also these people who don't know how to block anything from themselves.
You're right. Okay.
So it just comes in and they just let it just happens and they go, like, especially for like an empath. An empath will walk into a room, they can feel all this negative energy. They don't know how to block that negative energy. They go home and they can't figure out why they're crying their eyes out, because they let all this stuff come into them and they allowed it to come into them, and they can't.
So they're sensitive, but they're not sensitive enough. So they're sensitive enough to plug in and attract and tap in, but they're not sensitive to understand where it is in relation to the emotion or whatever.
Absolutely. And it becomes a part of them, and then they can't get rid of it.
And then they accept it kind of by
Yeah.
free will, just by accepting, not by
Yeah.
choosing, like you said, to kick it out or reject it. So
Yeah.
then someone like you or I has to say, whoa, do you want this there? Or
Right.
can we get remove
Right.
this?
But again, and the reason this happens is because, again, we were taught, or we were brainwashed into thinking that we are not in control of ourselves. And because when you start
That's a good
believing that, if you don't have any faith in yourself, you don't have any trust or faith in yourself, then you're going to allow all this bad influence to come into you, and then you take it on, and then you become bad, and then when you see that light, you go, no, I'm not going in there. I want to remain because what happens is a lot of these bad energies, these negative energies are there. They were what we would consider, like, just for the human aspect of it, crappy people. And they're the people who like to gossip and tell shit about. And then when they see that light, they go, nah, I want to remain my crappiness, and then remain here, and then they remain here as a bad energy. And then what they do is they try to come here into this realm and influence us. And the reason why is because when they influence us to do out and do bad things, or they make us feel fear or stuff like that, then they remain around us to feed off of that fear, because they need that negative energy to feed off of. They are energy vampires. We in turn stay negative, and then when it's our time to leave here, we go there too and remain there. It's a vicious circle. But we don't have to be that way. We can say, no, I don't want that to be a part of my life. I want to go and do good things, I want to be, but it's all our choice, we just but some of us don't realize they have that choice, and it just comes into them and then becomes a part of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what we see a lot of, unfortunately. It's sad.
Yeah.
In the higher vibrational beings, I guess, because they're the ones, like you said, that are opening up to this reality, but without discernment and skill and management.
Right. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Skill. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And just being able to discern the difference between what's good, because I always tell people there's no right and wrong, there's no mistakes, there's no epic failure.
Right.
There's only two things you're going to make decisions for your entire life. It's what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, quit fucking doing it. If you walk through a door and there's a nail in the floor, what's the lesson to learn? Go get a hammer, bang that nail in, and walk through the door freely the rest of your life. Or be one of those people who continues to trip over it 4 or 5 times, or just continues to trip for the rest of their lives because they can't learn lessons very well. I worked around those people. It was called prison. And those people, how do I know they're not good at learning lessons? Because they're still in freaking prison. That's why they can't figure it out. That they're not good criminals. Some people are just not good at it, so they don't learn the lessons very well. And then when they don't learn lessons very well, they just come back again and try to do harder lessons the next time. But it doesn't always work out for people. But but again, we're here to learn those things. And the only way that you can learn what works for you is by doing a shitload of stuff that doesn't work for you.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right.
Yeah, like when somebody says, "Oh, I went out with this guy. He's a piece of shit, and this one's a piece of shit." And this one's well, you know what? Choose a different type of person.
Yeah. Where were you 20 years ago with that advice, Jan?
Yeah. Just seeing spirit my entire life and not knowing why. That's all. I saw all kinds of crazy stuff, like green and red mist pouring out of the walls and 7-foot skeletons.
I've seen stuff like that.
Yeah. I didn't understand why I was seeing it and why I was seeing so much. But
and what to do with it. Either.
Yeah, they were just testing me to see what I would do next with it. Would I keep this ability and do something with it, or would I push it away? Like a lot of people do. I do readings and come into contact. They send me people, spirit sends them to me to help them to understand, to try to wake up. But I do explain to them, this life isn't for everybody. It will completely change your life. There is some ups and downs to it all. My wife and I are not very super social people. Why? Because we don't want to be around a crowd of negative people all the time.
I hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. So right. Because well, I mean, the last time we went to a big crowded thing was that we went to a Journey concert back in 2015, but we haven't been since because there was so much negative, even though it was a good thing, but there's so many negative people there, because most of them are all drunk off their ass and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Not something you want to do all the day. So you know what I want to know about? I did some stuff here.
Funny. My daughter just sent me a picture of a UFO cloud
Did you?
behind a cloud at her house. It's funny.
Yeah, I belong to a group of people who do that thing with the Dr. Greer thing, the CE5.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we sat out last night because of that full moon, that moon
You guys get
eclipse and all that.
are you able, like, I can just be like, that's one of my skills with Bear. I'm like, ship. I get them to blink their lights. It's awesome. Sometimes
So-
they'll come down toward my house.
When I look at 3.5 years ago, when I look up at the sky, I don't see the stars anymore. They disappeared. They're gone. The only thing I see is the moon and a blue-black sky. So
Well, that's interesting.
if any artificial light comes in, I can see that.
Oh,
But,
I see.
but when I see the blue-black sky, all I see is faces of people and dogs and cats and horses and cows and all that.
Oh, you're just it's because you're in but I see why. I see what you're in. You're in like this weird vortex portal. So you are having a different visual experience because of the being that you are than like I am, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, like that's why I wear the color blue all the time, because that's what color energy is. It's blue.
Oh,
Except,
totally.
except for the negative one, the bad ones I see, they come through.
See what I'm wearing?
Yeah. Yeah. When I see the bad ones, they actually glow red. Now here's something cool for me. So I have archangels around me all the time. And when I see these negative energies, bad ones come towards me, they say nasty things and give me dirty looks and stuff like that. Because they can read our minds. You know,
Sure.
if they want to, if we think about devil or demon, they can manipulate themselves being a pure energy to look like a devil and demon. And and which makes us more scared. But they don't scare me because so when I see spirit, they can't come. I always see them at a distance, about 4 or 5 feet away. They can't come close to me unless they want to cross over, and then they can come up and they poke.
That's because you're a vortex. I see what you are. You're a weird thing. Like a portal vortex.
Yeah, they come up and they look at me, stuff like that. And what I tell them is I say, look, man, you can't get any energy from me because that's not what this light's for. Just go away, because if you don't go away, I'm going to get my buddies here to mojo your ass away. And they look at me like, oh, what do you mean by that? I say, so I turn around to my archangels and I say, hey, can you guys get rid of this thing for me? So what I see next in my all view, I see these globs of white light come out of nowhere and go boom and attack these things, and they go, and it covers their whole, and they go, and I go, I told you to leave, but you didn't want to leave. And I know you're not going to leave because you are negative, and all you want to do is persist and try to get some energy from it. And then they just keep coming, and they finally leave, and they go, and they get all in pain, and I just go, have a great day. So I've sat in my bedroom at nighttime, and I see this swirl going above me, and it looks like I'm in the eye of a tornado.
Yeah, that's why I said vortex. Yeah.
What I see is lights going up, but I also see lights coming down. So the ones that are coming down are being born, and the ones that are
that's cool.
Yeah, pretty neat. And I can watch it anytime I want to, but I have something else they want me to do. So I cross spirit over, and then I try to teach people and help people why we're here, what our purpose is, and all that stuff. One time I was crossing spirit over, and I used to cross them one by one, and I would tell them to look for the light. But that was the time when I didn't realize I was the light until my guides talked to me and told me I was the light. So I go in. When I go in, it's like I'm standing on a balcony and I'm looking down, and all I can see is just people. And there's gazillions. I don't see any buildings or any structure or anything like that. I just see like what looks like ground and gazillions of people, and they're all interacting with each other and stuff like that. And I look down and I say, hey, is there anybody here who wants to cross over? And they all do this. Imagine 1 million people doing this. And so they all look up, and I go, yes, hi, my name is Daniel. I always tell them what year it is and what time of day it is, because they don't know.
What do they say?
They just look at me and go, huh? And I go, yeah, because I did a reading for a woman who wanted some information about her sister, but her sister had not crossed over. And so I said, give me your name and I'll call out to her. So I did, and she came to me. And I said to her, hey, your sister is trying to give you some information. She said, I'm trying to talk to my sister. I said, yeah, I know that. And I said, but you can't get through because you didn't cross over. She goes, yeah. She goes, I had something to tell her. I said, yeah. She said, I've been trying to tell her for like 2 days. I said, no, you died 20 years ago. And she said, what?
Yeah, time's totally different in other dimensions.
Yeah. And I said, what did you want to tell her? And she said, oh, that I was cheating on her boyfriend with her when I was there. And I was like, oh, okay. So I go back to the sister and I said, yeah, I said, your sister didn't cross over because she wanted me to tell you that she was cheating on your boyfriend when she was live when you were there. She said, oh, yeah, I know all about that. She said, I'd let that go. I said, okay, well, I told your sister about that, told her to cross over, and she did at that point. But yeah, they don't realize where they are. So when I see them down there, I go, okay, is anyone want to cross over? All you have to do is line up. And I say, and then I tell them how to go through. I said, walk up to the light, move into the light, and pass through the light, and you shall be received. And this is the first time I said it too. It just came out. I didn't ask, it just came out. I said, walk up to the light, move into the light, and pass through the light, and you shall be received into heaven as one of God's children, because God wants all his children to come home. It's time to come home, children. And then after I said it, I was like, where the fuck did that come from? It just came out. So, and then they start doing it, and I see them lining up, and they're coming through, and big flashes of light are going off in my room and all this stuff. And then after about 45 minutes, I said, I see the line to start to dwindle. And I said, is there anybody else that wants to cross over? And then I heard it. I heard a voice come off in the distance and say, no. I was like, no, I'm crossing. They said, no, we don't want them to go. We want them to stay. And I was like, he said, I said, but I have to. He said, no. He said, you are. And he said, you already crossed over 6,000. We need them to stay here. And I was like, he said, we need their energy. I was like,
oh, wow.
I said, sorry about that, but I work for God. I don't work for you. I'm crossing him over. He's like, no. And he started sounding like this, no. And I was like, whatever, but yeah, so I'm able to see them in that way. And then I cross over, and then they cross over, and they just flash. And then, but it's like a water fountain. That never turns off. They're just, I can cross over 1 million of them. There's still a gazillion of them there. It's just,
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's crazy. Tell my audience where. Oh, you know what? I forgot to talk about.
What?
One quick thing. The secret to everything.
Oh, so this is really funny. I was given that name 10 years ago. I knew it'd be the name forever. It's like, anyway, it was given to me. But the secret to everything I used to say was frequency. Like you said, light, color, sound, but now I say the secret to everything is you. You are the secret to unlock and create the most amazing life or the crappiest life. You are the secret to everything. No, nothing outside of you. You.
Yes. You.
That's what I teach now.
And so is this a book that you have about that?
I have a book series. I have some things about abundance. I just wrote a book about Lyme and autoimmune. We're working on a book about agreements and contracts. We're working on a book about clones, NPCs, and fire creation spirits. So it's a series. So it's the secret to everything, kind of like the dummies guides, it's like the dummies guides to cards, the dummies guide. So it's the secret to everything to blank, the secret to everything to fill in the blank, all my subjects. Eventually we'll have all these little books.
Are any of the books out yet?
Yeah, there's a few of them. I mean, you can just look up Secret to Everything or my name.
Where can they find them?
On Amazon. Just type it in on Amazon. They'll come up.
Did you self-publish those yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So that's what everybody does these days. Too much control, too much. I've been offered but they want to control everything. And then most of them are owned by the corporations, which are the controllers. And I don't want to be controlled. So yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah,
me too. I just wrote a book about my story of me becoming
that's awesome.
And all that stuff. And then at the end, there's like 25 messages that were channeled from the archangels for people to understand. So, but yeah, we're going to self-publish. We're So they can find your book on Amazon, and all they have to do is look up your name and
And as a matter of fact, I'm old and I've, been doing this a long time. I have a pretty prolific body of work. You can type in my name. We used to have a radio show, Secret to Everything. It's still on Blog Talk. You can listen to the old episodes, plenty of YouTube channels, Secret to Everything. So just type in my name and it'll come up. And secrettoeverything.com is my website. So I'm easily found. If you want to find me, you'll find me. If you don't, you won't.
You're not that old though, right? I mean, I'm 55.
I'm close to your age.
Oh well, yeah. I didn't think you're. Yeah, I didn't think you're as old as this piece of crap right here. But yeah, I get it. Where can people find you? Where can they look you up? So are they going to look up Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, or is there something?
Yes, I have my website is secrettoeverything.com.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, like when they look up me, it's Spirit Medium Daniel, one long word.
I like that.
Here's the crazy thing. So at least you have that, and it's going to come to you. Whereas when I tried to do Beyond the Veil, we were just going to call it that for the show. When I did that, the very first one that came up, was a website about reading Harry Potter books.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that's why I put in Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, and then when you put that in, it comes right to you. So they can pretty much find you at your website at secrettoeverything.com.
Absolutely. And there's an information form. They can ask questions, and we have free gifts, and there's a bunch of stuff. So, yeah.
Can they also order your book from there, or does it take?
No, they can't order the book from there. They have to go to Amazon, but I could probably put that. Thank you for that suggestion. That's a good suggestion. We will fix that.
What if they want to order? So, because I want to know too. So what if they want to order a book from you and they want a signed copy?
Oh, well, that's a good question. We'd have to print that and send that to them,
Right.
I don't think you guys need a signed copy for me. There's no ego here. I'm not that famous. But that's I want to sell 1 million books, but I don't want to sell 1 million books to make $1 million. I want to sell 1 million books so that people can read the messages and get it, and understand, and move forward. I mean, what we're going to do is take the money that we get from the books and put it back into buying more books if we have to, that type of thing. So when I hooked up with Michelle to get everybody on my show, the first thing I do is I ask my spirit guides if this person would be a good person on my show or not. And if they I didn't know that. Wow.
If they tell me no, if she gave me a person, I tell them no, they're not right for my show.
Sure.
So, but when I asked for you, when I saw the list of people, I came down and I saw you. As soon as I saw your face, I got yes. I was like, okay. Then I marked you down on my list. Yeah, I marked you down. You were the second person on my list that I marked down. And
Thank you.
That's how it works for me. I get yes and no answers, touches on my face all day long. But
I love that. Thank you.
Well, yeah. That's a cool way part of it. But then I'll be driving down the street and thinking to myself, and all of a sudden I get a yes answer. I go, what the hell was I just thinking?
That's a good point. You're like, wait, what was that a yes to?
Yeah, what was that yes to? I gotta try to remember that. But again, like you and I said, or you talked about, when your mind is talking to something else, it cuts out all the other mess. So then you have to, and then when you get that answer, you got to decipher what that answer was for.
Right.
It's not always easy to do because we are used to the ums and uhs and all that stuff in our lives, the interruptions in our lives.
Absolutely. Yep. Distractions. Yep.
Right. And trying to live without those distractions is hard to do when the narrative is constantly pushing that distraction in front of your face.
It's one big distraction.
Yeah, so trying to get away from it. So thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Show.
Great conversation. Great.
Yeah. I could talk to you all day, lady. Because
it was awesome. And I might dip in for a reading just for fun. I like to experience other people's interpretation.
I know that one who's right behind me all the time because he never leaves. But I actually at nighttime, like. I see spirit during the day. I see like little squiggles, and sometimes I see faces and stuff like that. But in the dark room, I see everything. But I always see him.
That's interesting. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, my friend. I feel like
thank you for being on the show, and thank you for hanging out with me, and thank you for telling me about you. I know me, but I want to hear what other people have, and because that's what interests me. I get bored of me sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
me too.
I don't take it for granted, but
I know exactly what you mean.
And you do a whole lot of other stuff that I don't do because that's not my thing, So and that's why I have people like you on my show to let people know there's much more out there.
Well, I appreciate it.
The only way you're going to find it is by going out and trying to discover it, correct? Absolutely. Well, thank you for being on the show. And as I tell everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. We're here on Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson and me. Have a great day. Be good and don't do any stupid shit. Bye-bye.
This was Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss an episode. For more information about Dr. Kimberly George, visit her website at www.secrettoeverything.com or on Facebook at Secret to Everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson.